예, 그 국제로타리 현황 및 재정 예측 보고는 저 본부에서 온 그 영상물을 좀 보고 이렇게 좀 말씀을 드리도록 하겠습니다. 예, 이거 틀어주시죠. 예.
Hi, I'm Julie Burke, Chief Financial Officer of Rotary International.
And I am Virpi Honkala, Treasurer of Rotary International and member of the Board of Directors. Today, Julie and I are pleased to share with you the current 5-year forecast.
Thank you, Virpi. Before we talk about the forecast, let's briefly take a look at Rotary's main types of revenues and expenses. Rotary has 3 main revenue streams: membership dues, net investment income, and services and other activities. In Rotary year 2020-21, revenues were lower than budgeted due to the impact of COVID-19, and in particular, the cancellation of the 2021 Taipei International Convention, which was transitioned to a virtual event.
Thank you, Julie. Rotary also has 3 main categories of expenses: operating expenses, expenses from services and other activities, and strategic spending. Rotary's expenses were significantly lower in 2021 due to the impact of COVID-19 on meetings and travel. These lower expenses offset the lower revenues, so we were still able to generate an increase in net assets. Our net assets are carefully stewarded and play a critical role in strategic investment.
They certainly do, Virpi. Those investments include infrastructure, technology, and programs that better meet the needs of our members and the communities we serve. For example, we continue to invest in Rotary's learning management system, which provides training materials to help Rotarians learn new skills and become more successful in what they do. The number of active learners grew substantially last year at the beginning of the pandemic and continued to increase in 2020-21, as did the content available to our members.
Additionally, we have updated our financial management system across the globe, which enables timely and flexible financial reporting. Phase 1 of this new system was launched on 1st July. While there is still work to do, we look forward to more streamlined and integrated processes benefiting our staff and Rotarians. The investments we are making will position us well for 2021-22 and beyond.
In June, the Board of Directors approved the 2021-22 budget. It includes $116 million in revenue and $120 million in expenses, as well as board-approved funding from reserves of nearly $5 million for strategic operating and international convention expenses.
Now let's take a look at the $116 million in revenue. Our most important source of revenue, about 70%, comes from our members. In 21-22, each Rotarian will pay $70 annually for membership dues, totaling $81 million in revenue.
Then there's net investment income, which is generated from Rotary's investments. Net investment income is budgeted to be about $2.2 million. We have budgeted conservatively based on the current market conditions.
And finally, we project $33 million in revenues from services and other activities. These include things like convention registration fees, rental receipts from one Rotary Center, and licensing of the Rotary marks.
Now, we'll take a look at the $120 million in expenses. Operating expenses are budgeted at $84 million. These will fund the services and resources that support Rotarians, clubs, and districts.
There are also $31 million in expenses associated with services and other activities. These expenses offset the $33 million in services and other activities revenues I mentioned earlier.
And finally, there is $5 million of strategic spending from Rotary reserves. This includes spending from the Convention Reserve related to the International Convention in Houston, Texas, USA, as well as spending from the RI Reserve for end of polio public relations and potential reduced membership revenue.
21-22 is the third year of our action plan. We are investing in long-term strategies to grow our membership. This includes increased initiatives to make Rotaractors a more vital part of the Rotary family, and continuing our partnerships, such as the very successful partnership we launched with Toastmasters in 2020.
Now let's take a look at the key assumptions that drive the 5-year forecast.
The most important assumption is the number of dues-paying members. Membership has remained at around 1.2 million members for more than 10 years. Our membership assumption for 2020-21 and the 5-year forecast is about 40,000 members lower than where we are today due to the uncertainty of the impact of the pandemic on membership. Well, that said, we have invested in activities to increase membership and are optimistic about that potential. We know that existing clubs continue to attract new members and engage current members, and hundreds of new and different clubs have been formed. These new clubs are helping to expand Rotary's reach and engage new and more diverse participants. Additionally, the call to action of each one bring one is likely to bring other qualified individuals who can benefit from Rotary and help Rotary increase its impact. The forecast includes the $1 dues increase for the next 2 fiscal years. There are no dues increases assumed for the final 3 years of the forecast. A proposed dues increase will need to be approved by the 2022 Council on Legislation. It is important to note that a $1 membership dues increase is less than 1.5% of current dues. This modest increase in membership dues makes it challenging to deliver the products, tools, and services Rotarians want. Meeting members' growing needs requires careful prioritization of our spending.
The second assumption is related to net investment return. Rotary's investment portfolio includes the majority of the RI reserve, and for this reason, it is invested conservatively, largely in investment rate bonds. The expected return, therefore, is highly correlated with the level of short-term interest rates, which have been and remain very low. In the current interest rate environment, the expected return is 2 to 3%. We've budgeted 2.5% for the 2021-22 fiscal year. In subsequent years, we assume only a modest increase in the expected return, as we do not know what will happen in the economy and capital markets. But we do know that the expected rate will trend with the interest rates. In any case, less than 2% of Rotary's revenue is reliant on net investment returns.
Now, let's talk about the impact of inflation. This is a key risk to achieving our forecast results. When determining the level of inflation for the 5-year forecast, Rotary considers the type of expense and where it is incurred. Rotary's most significant costs, such as technology, travel, and labor, generally have a higher levels of inflation than the composite index. For the 5-year forecast, we are assuming an inflation rate of 3%. However, to offset the impact of inflation, we are also budgeting savings through expense reduction initiatives.
The 5-year forecast also includes continued investment in services, technology, and infrastructure. However, we are projected to decrease strategic spending over the next 5 years. With lower revenue increases, we just simply will not be able to afford significant investments on an annual basis. Capital spending in 2021-22 is budgeted to be around $11 million for major pre-planned investments, and declines to less than $7 million by the end of the forecast period.
So putting all the assumptions together, let's look at the 5-year forecast. On the left, there's surplus or deficit that is generated each year. The green bars show when revenues are higher than expenses. The red bars show when expenses are higher than revenues. As you can see, with conservative revenue assumptions, we are forecasting deficits starting in 2023. Our bylaws require a balanced budget each year. To make this happen over the next 5 years, we will need to make tough decisions and prioritize our spending as well as focus on growing our revenues.
That's right, Burpee. It's important to focus on both revenues and expenses. And now on the right is the impact of the forecast on the RI reserve. The RI reserve reflects the target amount of funds that should be on hand in case of an emergency. This is approved annually as part of the budget process.
Meeting our target, which is shown in red, ensures Rotary has assets set aside for unexpected circumstances. You can see that for all periods presented, we are forecasting to be above or equal to the target. Financial sustainability is a key priority for our organization, and we are continuously focused on managing expenses.
Exactly. And Rotary is committed to diligent financial stewardship so we can continue to serve our members and the global community today, tomorrow, and well into the future.
Well said, Julie. Through the collaboration of volunteers and staff, Rotary has built a culture of strong financial governance that has served us well. Whether it is by reporting monthly financial results, reviewing and approving a balanced budget, or providing transparency into our 5-year forecast, Rotary is dedicated to ensuring that our operations provide value to our members.
And 2022 will be an important year for Rotary as we begin to emerge from COVID-19 pandemic and reflect on the lessons we've learned as a global community.
Over the next 5 years, we will work to increase our impact, expand our reach, enhance participant engagement, and increase our ability to adapt. A strong financial outlook will help us achieve our goals and ensure a strong future for Rotary. The world needs Rotary now more than ever. It is up to us to make sure that Rotary serves to change lives for years to come.
예, 여러분 잘 보셨죠? 예. 모든 것이 다 어려우니까 우리 재정도 점점 더 어려워지는 것 같습니다. 여러분 잘 이해하시고 그 로타리 봉사에 열중을 해서 앞으로 로타리가 더 발전될 수 있도록 해 주시기를 바랍니다. 그리고 뭐 특별히 나라 이사회에 그 좋은 의견이 있으시면은 여러분들이 언제든지 이렇게 저한테 연락을 주시면은 이사회를 할 때 최대한 우리 한국에서 하는 이런 시스템들을 좀 소개를 하고 좋은 의견들을 나누도록 그렇게 하겠습니다. 뭐 다른 질문 사항 있으시면은 말씀해 주시죠. 지금 모든 세상이 다 어려우니까 코로나로 뭐 되는 게 별로 없는 것 같습니다. 그런데 코로나 때문에 뭐 국제 대회도 그렇고 모든 것이 정상적으로 되지를 못하니까 앞으로 언제든지 좋은 의견 있으시면은 저한테 이메일로 보내주시면은 이사회를 할 때 꼭 올리도록 그렇게 하겠습니다. 감사합니다.